rest assured, we will not rest until he's captured, justice is served, whether it be by a jury or Jesus.
He should never see the light of day again.
Animals don't do this. This is barbaric. This is unhuman behavior. It is pure evil to do something like that.
This is the story of Cassandra Jones, aged 48, a mother of 3 who was gunned down in broad daylight in an execution style by her longtime boyfriend, B.J. Brown, aged 32, in a downtown New Orleans parking lot. B.J. Brown, a career criminal, shot her in the middle of the street with an assault rifle before he fled the scene to Tennessee, where he tried killing a police officer. All this because she wanted to move on with her life. Hello and welcome to Twisted Crimes. Subscribe and hit the like button for more stories.
Police identify the man in a video showing the execution-style killing of a woman in New Orleans, and tonight he is wanted for shooting an officer in Tennessee.
This story will be taking us to New Orleans. New Orleans is a Louisiana city on the Mississippi River, near the Gulf of Mexico. Nicknamed the Big Easy, it's known for its round-the-clock nightlife, vibrant live music scene and spicy, singular cuisine reflecting its history as a melting pot of French, African, and American cultures. Cassandra Jones, aged 48, was a mother and grandmother who grew up in Mississippi. The Mississippi native graduated from Vicksburg High School, where she was a cheerleader and ran track. She attended Hines Community College before moving to New Orleans for a job. After getting to New Orleans, she worked as a deputy clerk in an Orleans parish who at the time of this incident had recently gotten a promotion. She moved to New Orleans to find a better life for herself, not knowing that would be the end of her. While in New Orleans, she met B.J. Brown, age 32, with who she had an on-again off-again years-long relationship. Cassandra was described by her friends as the life of the party. She was the one most of them look up to. She was outgoing, always eager to make her own living.
She left a legacy all her own. Cassandra was someone who did not need anybody to toot her own horn.
Brown and Cassandra had a years-long relationship, punctuated by allegations of abuse. Cassandra had filed for a restraining order against B.J. Brown even though she did not go through with it. In a petition for a restraining order that she filed May 4 in Orleans Parish Criminal District Court, Cassandra detailed the alleged abuse, including punching, choking, kicking, sexual abuse, threats of bodily harm and financial intimidation. Cassandra wrote that on April 27 at approximately 3:30 a.m., Brown came to her apartment in the 1400 block of Bienville Street, where the two argued, Cassandra asking Brown not to wake her up so late at night because she had work the next day. Part of the documents reads, "I then instructed Mr. Brown to leave my home and disrespect the next woman. Mr. Brown subsequently removed his belt and began swinging it at me." The petition stated that Brown attacked Cassandra with the belt many times, injuring her body, but it was not the first time he had caused her injuries. She said that he attacked and knocked out her teeth in the past when she questioned him about a female he was connecting with because I found out about it. Cassandra dialed 911 following the April 27 assault, at which point Brown punched her, threw her on the ground, and stomped on her. When police arrived 10 to 15 minutes later, they discovered that Brown had fled her flat from the balcony on the second story. She knew he would return because he had forgotten his cell phone and car keys. Cassandra hurled the phone from a third-story window but refused to hand over the automobile keys because Brown did not own the vehicle. According to her petition, Brown attempted to suffocate her with a pillow after hours of fighting. Cassandra said, "All I want is for Mr. Brown to move on and be with whatever he has been with, leave me alone, and return my car." On this particular day, Cassandra was on her way to work when she was ambushed by Brown for reasons unknown. He waited for her near her apartment. Brown was seen on camera with a rifle walking towards Cassandra, who was already on the ground. He was seen shooting her twice in the body at close range, then walking away. Emergency medical services took Cassandra to University Medical Center, where she died within a few hours. Shortly after the shooting, New Orleans police obtained a warrant for Brown's arrest on second-degree murder charges, and the Violent Offenders Warrant Squad and U.S. Marshals hunted for him that day.
Police identify the man in a gruesome video showing the execution-style killing of a woman in New Orleans, and tonight he is wanted for shooting an officer in Tennessee. Good evening, I'm Kim Holden.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Police vow to find a man accused of killing a woman in New Orleans and shooting an officer outside of Nashville.
And tonight we're learning more about the suspect B.J. Brown's past. Caitlin Rust has the latest on the manhunt.
Animals don't do this. This is barbaric. This is unhuman behavior. It is pure evil to do something like that.
A horrific video circulating on social media shows the cold-blooded, broad daylight murder of 48-year-old First City Clerk of Court employee Cassandra Jones.
Everybody's just numb, because she was a team member, she was family.
Police say her killer is 32-year-old B.J. Brown, who they obtained a second-degree murder warrant for. But just hours after they started looking for him, Brown had fled to Erin, Tennessee. That's where police say during a traffic stop, Brown got out of his vehicle and shot an officer, then ran off into the dense woods. The officer has non-life-threatening injuries. Jones's life was cut short, however. A mother of 2 children, described as a hard worker, trying to provide for her family. Austin Badon says Jones had domestic issues with Brown. Fox 8 has obtained a copy of the 25-page temporary restraining order Jones filed in May. It alleges Brown punched, choked, shoved, kicked, threatened, intimidated, and sexually abused her, along with mental, emotional, and financial abuse. It details an early morning incident, April 27th, around 3:30, when Brown allegedly came over and they began to fight. Jones says she told him to get out, and he hit her with a belt several times, bruising her. 911 was called, and Jones says Brown punched her and threw her to the ground, stomping on her. Once police arrived, she says Brown jumped off of her upstairs balcony to escape. After the officers left, she says he got back into her apartment where they continued to fight, and he tried to smother her with a pillow. She also alleged there was another occasion where she confronted him about cheating on her, and he punched her, knocking her teeth out. However, Jones never showed up to court to follow through with the restraining order.
We spoke about it. I gave her my full support. I encouraged her to go through with it, and I believe she decided not to go through with it.
I dug into Brown's lengthy criminal history spanning more than a decade across several parishes, mainly St. John, where he had been arrested more than 10 times over the past 10 years. Some of those charges include domestic abuse battery, but were dropped by the victim. Brown is considered armed and dangerous as law enforcement from several surrounding counties in Tennessee continues searching the rugged terrain.
Brown, a violent, habitual, repeat offender, had, however, already gone to Tennessee. Around 65 miles west of Nashville, an officer with the Erin Police Department performed a traffic check on Highway 149. Brown shot him while he was in his police car. Brown escaped on foot into a wooded, mountainous area after exchanging gunfire with the officer.
Erin, Tennessee. Police are looking for a man who shot an officer there. This is in Houston County, about an hour and a half from Nashville. The Erin police chief just gave an update. Chief Mark Morris says the officer pulled over the suspect in a traffic stop on Highway 149. The suspect got out of his car and then refused to listen to the officer and get back in. That's when he shot at the officer. The officer will be okay, but police will not give up until they find the suspect.
Make no mistake whatsoever. This was an ambush on an officer. Rest assured, we will not rest until he's captured, justice is served, whether it be by a jury or Jesus.
So once the shootout ended, the suspect ran. Law enforcement from several agencies are in Erin right now to help find that suspect.
On the run for 2 more days, Brown was caught Wednesday morning in Houston County, Tennessee, near the town of Erin. The handcuffs used were from the officer who Brown allegedly shot and injured during the traffic stop.
Good evening, I'm Katie Moore.
And I'm Sharice Gibson. Tonight, the man accused of killing his ex-girlfriend in New Orleans and then driving to Tennessee, where he's accused of shooting a police officer, is in jail.
It all started on Monday morning on Iberville Street. Then police say B.J. Brown drove more than 500 miles to the town of Erin, Tennessee, northwest of Nashville, where police there say he shot an officer. Brown was arrested this morning after a manhunt.
Well, Mike McDaniel looks more into Brown's past criminal history and asks why he was out of jail in tonight's top story.
Allegedly murdering his ex-girlfriend and shooting a Tennessee officer while on the run, the crimes linked to 32-year-old B.J. Brown are not exactly surprising to St. John Parish Sheriff Mike Treg.
He is a violent, habitual, repeat offender.
Treg says Brown has been arrested at least 15 times since 2010. Court documents show a history of charges, some violent, including pursuits, drugs, assault, robbery, injuring a police dog, and resisting an officer.
We've even had cases of domestic violence with him and the young lady that he murdered.
Monday's murder was caught on cell phone video. It shows a man walk up to 48-year-old Cassandra Jones outside a New Orleans apartment complex with what appears to be an assault. He shoots her multiple times.
He should never see the light of day again. And I wish we could have done something to prevent that from happening. Maybe could have been in jail. I don't know.
Court records show Brown's past charges in St. John Parish landed him in jail for only 94 days. Some charges were either not pursued or dropped by the victim, Cassandra Jones. The only pending charges involve a high-speed crash on River Road back in October.
He crashed into citizens who were injured, 3 adults and a child, where he basically totaled all vehicles.
Treg worries about a failure in the justice system, especially since Brown was on probation for drug charges at the time of the murder. Last month, Brown was sentenced to 2 years probation instead of 3 years in jail. 2 days later, Jones filed a restraining order for domestic violence against Brown in Orleans Parish. She was killed a month and a half later.
He definitely what I consider a violent criminal history and a person that definitely needs to be off the streets and probably should have been off the streets a long time ago.
On the run for 2 days, Brown was caught Wednesday morning in Houston County, Tennessee, near the town of Aaron. The handcuffs used were from the officer who Brown allegedly shot and injured during a traffic stop.
His gear probably had a little bit of blood on him, but I didn't wash him off because he had blood, this officer's blood on his hands anyway.
For Police Chief Mark Moore and his 6-man department, it's personal. Treg says the court system should expedite the case.
If you commit a crime and it's just undeniable and your guilt is obvious, this case should not take years to prosecute.
His record shows that since 2010, deputies have arrested Brown more than 15 times for crimes involving drugs, weapons, and high-speed pursuits. He crashed into citizens who were all injured, 3 adults and a child, where he totaled all vehicles. Court records show Brown's past domestic violence charges in St. John Parish landed him in the parish jail for only 94 days. Some charges were either not pursued or dropped by the victim, Cassandra Jones.
As a black woman and someone being gunned down in our city, totally unacceptable. The apprehension of Mr. Brown, something that we absolutely celebrate. I do.
The mother of 3 was getting ready to go to work that morning as a deputy clerk in Orleans Parish. First City Court Clerk Austin Baton hired Jones about a year ago. He met her when she was seeking emergency rental assistance, but what she really wanted was a job, and he saw her potential.
We sat and we talked, and she had the attributes that I was looking for. She had the computer skills. She had people skills. And I saw somebody who was looking not for a handout, they wanted to work.
Jones' family said in a statement, Cassandra was a vibrant lady who was loved by many people. She had a personality that would definitely light up a room. Our hearts have been ripped apart. She meant the world to us. Her family said she and Brown used to date, and several months ago, Jones sat in Baton's office, letting him know she considered filing a restraining order against Brown.
I could see it in her eyes and hear it in her voice that she was afraid to leave and go home.
Brown is currently in the Houston County Jail in Tennessee facing a charge of attempted murder of a police officer. Brown could be transferred to face charges in Louisiana. Our sincere condolences to the friends and families of Cassandra Jones. May Cassandra's memory be a blessing for her family and for all who knew her, and may her life and death be an inspiration and a turning point towards justice and increased protection for domestic abuse survivors. Please stay safe out there and see you guys in the next video.